Hello everyone, these are 3 true, creepy stories. I hope you enjoy this video. Number 1. It was 6 years ago. I would have been 16 or 17 at the time, and I was suffering from a bout of insomnia. Being that I couldn't sleep, I decided to go for a walk, maybe get a drink at the gas station and watch the sun rise in a few hours. I left my house and headed to the farther shop to buy myself some thinking time and get more exercise. I was lost in thought for a good 10 minutes or so, judging as I was about halfway to the store, when I noticed a red SUV driving up the street really slowly. It was still way down the road, but I was always paranoid and ducked behind the car closest to me. After what felt like 10 minutes, I'm not so sure, the car passed. I could see tire shadows from under the car, so it must have been driving on the wrong side, which really freaked me out. It passed, turned the corner slowly, and I waited. A little while later, I emerged from next to the car and began briskly walking toward the gas station. I told myself that maybe it was a cop or someone looking for a lost pet, and forced myself to relax. I was out here to think and enjoy the cool night air. I might as well. I made it to the station, got a Pepsi and headed back. To be honest, I had already laughed off the SUV as maybe some drunk fool. I made it a few streets past the initial spot and got a weird feeling, so I stopped and peered around the streets. At the very end of my side, I could see headlights coming from the direction of the gas station. I felt a horrible unease and decided it would be the best to hide by another car. It was the SUV driving so slowly again. I literally climbed under the car I was by as I saw it coming. It passed by at what could have not been more than 10 miles. I felt like crying, as this was by no means normal. As the car rounded another corner, I took off from my hiding spot down the road, heading opposite to the way they went. I ran into a woman standing by her garbage can, smoking. I quickly explained what happened and pointed the way I came. Just then, the SUV turned down the street and the lady and I quickly ran behind her car. I peeked as it drove by. There were garbage bags taped to most of the windows. I noticed a bat, or at least I thought it was. The man inside had a 5 o'clock shadow and a thicker mustache. That's all I could see. I don't know what would have happened, but I know for sure that man was very creepy. That was the scariest experience I ever had in my life. Number 2. This happened a long time ago when I was 5, but I remember clearly. Anyway, my dad's cousin had just died from cancer. My dad was pretty messed up for quite a while. They were really close. We had the funeral at a relatively popular funeral home in town. It was a really small town. I was young, so I didn't fully grasp the fact that someone just died. So when I attended the funeral, I got really bored. So me and my cousin wanted to go on a little adventure. We decided to sneak into the employee lounge and steal some food. Well, it was pretty successful. We found loads of donuts. We go back in and out about 3 times. As we were heading back from our third heist, there's this old man sitting alone on a bench outside the ceremony room. As we walk past him, he grabs my cousin's arm. Let me take this time to inform you that I'm younger than my cousin, but way taller. So when he grabs my cousin's arm, he puts his face real close to hers and says some of the scariest words I have ever heard an old man utter. Hey little girl, I like little girls. If you don't stop running around, I'm just gonna have to take you now, wouldn't I? Well, we knocked the heck out of there and told my uncle, who informed us that he had no idea who the man was, and goes out to check. He comes back and says that when he called to the old man, he took off running. I told my parents and they said he must have been some of the crazies around town. Needless to say, I had no sleep that night. Number 3. I like to explore old and abandoned buildings around the UK and Europe. Me, my fiancé and a couple of our friends had driven to Wales to check out a few places. 4-hour drive and a long way from home. We had been looking around places all day, starting off with a huge old cocking factory near Pontypridd, before moving on to a coal mine in Crumlin. Now by this time it was the evening, and although it wasn't dark yet, the light was starting to fade. We looked around the mine, took some photos, and decided to start heading back to the Midlands. Just as I was about to get in the car and leave, this car pulled up in front of us and an oldish guy got out. I had never seen him before, but he addressed me by my first name, as if he was a friend, and asked me where else I had been that day. Now this was weird, because I maintain very little online presence, and the only people who really know me online are the people who know me in real life. Anyway, after a while, he told me there was an abandoned hospital in the next town and to follow him. Why not? We thought. We drove for around half an hour until we arrived at this old building on the edge of a small, slightly run down Welsh mining town. The guy just said goodbye and left us there. We were a bit creeped out by the whole situation, but thought nothing too much of it and weren't too worried, as there were 4 of us and it was in the direction of home anyway. By this time it was getting dark and everything was bathed in a cold blue glow as the sun went down behind rain clouds. So we got some flashlights and went to have a little look inside the hospital. As soon as I got near the building, a feeling of dread completely overwhelmed me. This was weird in itself because I've been going to these places for years now, and few things truly scare me as a result. But anyway, I brushed this aside and we all went inside to explore. Typical old building really, peeling paint, plaster on the floors, body bag tied with ropes to the ceiling. That was enough for me, and it was completely dark by now. Me and my fiancé went outside and waited for our friends to finish looking around. As we waited, we became very aware of someone walking around in the undergrowth near to us, shining a dim flashlight around and whispering to themselves. One set of footsteps became 2, and then 3, until there were several people in the woods surrounding this building. We shouted our friends and got the hell out of there. It gives me chills to this day, thinking about